This is the After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
Hey everybody, it is the After Party live on this Wednesday, April 3rd. Thanks for migrating on over to the After Party. I'm very appreciative. I did get a message last night from someone who said, I can't find the PayPal link. I don't know what's going on. I'll put it in YouTube and I'll get that all situated, but you can find it in the show description. So just so you know, it is at the bottom of the show description. Huge thank you to all the people who have contributed. I got messages that Gretchen contributed last evening. Also, a message from of a new contribution from Calvin Wong, who contributed as well. A lot of you have stepped up and contributed, and I will make sure that I get that all updated on the end of the show list, as well as I try to figure out how to do that. But thank you to all of you who have come forward and tried to help out. So this is Teresa as well, Wes. I'm looking at all these contributions. I really appreciate it. I can't even tell you how much. And I appreciate you being here as well. Could you click the like button too, if you could? That's free and also very helpful. And if you haven't subscribed, I'm looking for 2,000. Let's do it. Hey, if I can play the lottery and dream big that way, I can dream of 2,000, right? So if you could subscribe to the show if you haven't already, I appreciate that as well. You never even have to watch it again, just subscribe, right? And click the like button. So thank you for that. I have so many good animal stories today. I'm really excited about that. And it's going to rain in the Bay Area. It's supposed to start today and then continue on through Friday. It's going to be chilly cold. We're going to expect the possibility of snow dropping between 15 and 2,000 feet on possibly some Bay Area mountain peaks. So it'll be an interesting one. Before we get into the main chunk of the animal stories, I saw this on Cron 4, and I thought it was really interesting. Yes, I am. Hello, Wes. I am coming on today. I thought it was really interesting that they are now bringing in COVID dogs to an Alameda, two, more than one, Alameda medical centers, trying to ferret out the COVID, or sniff out the COVID, probably more accurate, in Alameda County. COVID-19 virus detecting dogs at some Alameda County health centers. You've got Scarlet, who's a yellow lab, a medical detection dog, and Rizzo as well. And they were at the Park Bridge Rehab and Wellness Center. They've been at other centers. They're bringing them around to help identify cases within county health centers. It's all a part of the pilot program. But of course, people that at the medical centers are going crazy when they bring the dogs in because they're so cute. I don't know if they found anything, but they're trained to sniff near someone's feet, ankles, and lower leg. And if they detect the scent of COVID, then they alert their handler by sitting down quickly. The noses on these yellow labs can apparently detect volatile organic compounds associated with COVID. I didn't know that there was a COVID smell. I guess they can smell it and we can't. They have undergone, these pups, rigorous training. They have an average accuracy detection of 94%. These dogs can sniff test about 300 people in 30 minutes. So they're very accurate and fast workers. The Park Bridge residents and the staff members were all pre-screened to make sure they weren't allergic or afraid of dogs. And then they went out. The humans apparently will administer COVID test if the dog sniffs you out. So then you get in line for your COVID test, right? It costs about $50,000 a year to train these dogs, and the training takes up to a year. But if it works, the California Department of Public Health may deploy these COVID detection dogs in Bay Area schools. So right now they're doing it at the health centers in Alameda County. Then they'll go to the vulnerable populations and skilled nursing facilities, and then maybe schools. So, I mean, at this point, they don't say anymore if your child is in school. I guess the new policy is used to be you had to stay out of school until you tested negative. Now they only say, oh, you only have to stay out a certain number of days. So it seems like we've gotten much more lax, but these dogs sure are cute. What a good thing. I love it. Um, Mega Lake. I saw this story from SF Gate on this mega lake. And this, I just think this is why we have problems, right? When you build something like this in a desert, and now we're wondering, well, hey, why do we have water shortages in California? It just doesn't make sense to me. This is on Desert Springs Drive, where it's often 120 degrees out in the California desert. But the Marriott in the mid 80s built this mega lake. It's right outside of Palm Springs. It used to just be sand dunes here, but they took 450 acres of sand dunes and they built this hotel and this mega lake, which is the size of about 500 Olympic-sized swimming pools. Really, in Palm Springs. Come on now. It's a big one. I mean, it's huge. It took 3 years to build this mega lake. It cost $250 million. And apparently it now supports quite a bit of wildlife. You can see the flamingos there. They brought in flamingos. They brought in birds originally. It's interesting how the wildlife thing happened. When they built the lake, the first thing that happened was bugs came. Right? And so then there was a layer of bug larvae on the surface. So they brought in birds to eat the bugs, and then more birds came naturally. So, yeah. The Marriott had to import bluegills, largemouth bass, and catfish to eat up the bugs. Then hungry seagulls came. I'm sorry, they imported fish, not the birds. Then the seagulls came to eat the fish. And now the Marriott has to restock 600 new fish every year. So first it was the seagulls to eat the fish, then American coots, Canadian geese, egrets, green herons, one snow goose, Chilean flamingos they added. It got to the point where they now have a bird doctor on call. Yeah. There's even wildlife out there. They've got a white owl, a red-tailed hawk comes by, bobcat. They've created this whole ecosystem out here. Wild. They even have a boat tour where you can, hop in a boat and there's a tour guide that will paddle you through. Here's what it looks like. Yeah, I need a boat tour out on the mega lake. And the whole time I'm reading this story, I'm thinking, in Palm Springs, you decided it was a good idea to build a mega lake. Wow. Do we have to change our mindset at all with this? I don't understand. I mean, I hope that we wouldn't be able to do this today. Crazy. This lake is more than 4 times the size of Bass Lake in Northern California. They have a well 500 feet below the desert floor, and they've got this 300 horsepower pump that distributes water from an aquifer to the lake and the surrounding property. And then it filters back through the soil down to the aquifer, and the whole process starts all over again. They've got a scuba team that go get the golf balls out of the lake. It gets crazy. All the things they have to manage too. Like if too much vegetation grows, then that could, I guess, destroy the integrity of the bottom of the lake, which is, they had to put layers down so they can't have the lining crack, right? So they got to get the scuba divers down there to remove the vegetation. They have a big maintenance crew. Anyway, I thought that was interesting. In Palm Springs, of all places. Yeah. All right, let's go to the animals. I'm excited. You know what? After we had that sad outcome of the eaglets we'd been watching on the live cam Well, there's another set of eaglets, and these eaglets managed to survive the cold winter. And this is in the Reading area where these eaglets just hatched this week. Pretty cool. They were on live cam. I think that it still is a live cam running. Two tiny hatchlings. The picture is of three, but Friday morning last week, Liberty and Guardian welcomed the second of two tiny baby birds to their nest. Very cool. The whole thing is on YouTube. They have footage showing the mama sitting on the eggs before all of a sudden one eaglet pushes itself out of its shell, and another one does as well. The mom then feeds the older bird. The eaglet takes its first wobbly steps, leaves its shell behind. Eventually, the dad comes back to deliver a fish to the mom and babies. So, thank goodness, after the sad outcome where the eggs never hatched, I think that was on the Central Coast, now we have these eaglets that have hatched. The parents are pretty prolific. They've birthed 8 eaglets since forming their partnership in 2019. The mom has given birth to 28 eaglets in total. 20 of them were born with 2 other partners, so she kind of gets around. She's been giving birth over 18 nesting seasons. The babies that she had, Liberty, it was first with Patriot. That was 8 years. But Patriot departed after the birth of the last eaglet. Then she found Spirit, and she had more babies, 7 more. And now she's moved on again to Guardian. So they're watching over these eaglet babies, and it's the Reading. I'm trying to get the name of the group. The Friends of the Reading Eagles is the group that is monitoring these eagles and putting out the information about them. Friends of the Reading Eagles. So that's good. I like to see that. Did you see, speaking of birds, I have to share this video with you. There's a duck that is being celebrated with a big old birthday party. It's kind of sweet. This duck is being celebrated. It's a rescue duck. And I guess you could also say it's a volunteer duck as well. And this little creature is being celebrated for all the work that it does in the community. Let's see if I can show you this video here. I thought it was a little sweet. Uh-oh. I don't know if I have it. Yeah, here it is. The sanctuary is throwing this birthday party, and they put out some video. So let me see if I can't show this to you. And let's see, here it is.
Erna the duck at West Place Animal Sanctuary in Tiverton is celebrating her 17th birthday. She is a crested pekin duck and was rescued in 2007. Look at that license there. A little fun fact, these type of ducks usually live a maximum of 12 years. West Place threw her quite the birthday party with singing, a birthday cake topped with blueberries. That's her favorite treat. Erna is a living reminder of what farm animals are capable of. Happy birthday, Erna.
Aww.
Isn't that awesome?
I love that.
Erna outliving her lifespan. Love it. And apparently Erna does a lot of good things for the community. They have her as a volunteer duck. She goes out. She's kind of an ambassador. So Erna, happy birthday. That's awesome. There's a snake that has apparently been missing for more than a year. I think the family might have given up on this snake. They shouldn't have, not too soon, because the snake is back. Animal rescuers in the UK said this pet snake that had been missing from the home where it lived for more than a year was found after being dropped onto a rooftop by a crow. Rescuers responding to this home where somebody spotted a 3-foot corn snake in their garden. The snake had vanished, was then discovered on the roof of a garage. They suspect a crow had given the snake, they say, a not so helpful leg up, tried to eat it. It was actually someone's pet named Agnes who had been missing for more than a year. The snake had a respiratory infection from being outside in the cold. They say it's a miracle she actually survived that long. But she's been treated, and I guess they're trying to find her a new home now because the old owner can no longer keep her. They said this came out on April Fool's. They said, no, this is a real rescue. It's not an April Fool's joke. There's this, I don't know if you've ever had this happen to you, where you go somewhere and in Petaluma, at my kid's doctor's office, the pediatrician, right across from Petaluma Valley Hospital, there's a group of turkeys that live in the parking lot. And you always hope when you park that they're on the other side, right? Or they're somewhere in a field or a green area. But sometimes they chase after you, or you'll see them attack a car and they're pecking the tires or whatever. And they can be really aggressive. Well, one turkey apparently was getting really aggressive, and it happened in the pickup and drop-off line of a school. And the principal was not having it. So the principal decides he's going to chase this turkey right out of there. And it's a pretty funny video.
Very territorial turkey. Take a look. That's the turkey right there. It's been on a tear, bullying families and staff at a Cary Elementary School.
Yeah, Cindy Bay joins us live now in Cary, where this turkey is impacting the kids and the staff and the parents at a couple of different schools. The principal even caught on camera chasing that turkey off with an umbrella. Tell us all about it, Cindy.
Yeah, well, apparently, guys, this one turkey called Mr. Tom has been quite the pest at Carpool. He's refused to move for cars. He's not even afraid of Cary Animal Services. And while he's been such an ominous presence here at Alston Ridge Elementary and Middle School, the parents I talked to today at Carpool haven't seen that pesky bird, meaning hopefully Mr. Tom. You found your chances at love elsewhere.
Okay, even better. Yep, that's what you would do.
It's the side of a principal not many people can say they usually see. Alston Ridge Elementary's Nico Schutte chasing off a wild turkey on school grounds with an umbrella.
Maybe he's found something that works.
Turkey Tom has been a pest at Carpool, refusing to move and pecking at glass, cars, or anyone or thing they perceive as a threat.
This was a young male turkey who probably was looking for a mate in the group that he was in and was unable to find one, so was looking elsewhere. He was trying to claim a territory, and I guess he decided the carpool lane was going to be it.
But the male bird was looking for love in all the wrong places, circling a Cary police car to claim his spot.
Officer Savage, who's the SRO, was able to kind of scare him away a few times, but he decided that he wasn't afraid of her anymore, and that's typical.
I just believe that we should teach our kids to learn to live with wildlife and know how to, avoid them when they're in their territory or when they're in their environments.
Cary Animal Services say it's only a matter of time before all those hormones will abate soon. The open umbrella doing the trick for now.
That's a perfect response for getting him to move away, because you have to make yourself as bigger than they are.
Now, Wilson says loud noises are also another way to safely shoo Mr. Tom away. But
yeah, so I thought that was pretty funny, the principal getting out there with the umbrella. Sometimes, you do have to try to find a way to coexist with wildlife. For me, I keep the door closed and look around and make sure that the turkeys aren't on my way, aren't on their way to get me. That's, that's happened before. This is a story from CNN, and, they have the best animal stories. This one is about a fish that has a relationship, you could say, with a doorbell. So let's check it out, because apparently people all over the internet are absolutely loving this.
Fish need a doorbell, and who answers it?
It's finally fish doorbell season again, which is the most wonderful time of the year.
The fish cluster stuck at the most important boat lock in the Dutch city of Utrecht. Are they frisky fish? Are they horny fish? What kind of fish are we talking here?
Yeah, I think you could describe them as horny fish. They've got one thing on their minds.
The instinct to get upstream to shallow water to lay eggs and fertilize them. And that has spawned this live streaming underwater camera.
The thrill you get letting a fish through is unparalleled.
Every time someone clicks, a photo is sent to the fish doorbell's creator, ecologist Mark van Herkelum. When enough fish have gathered, Mark asks the lock keeper to manually open the gates. This is actually a lot like real fishing. Most of the time, nothing happens. The screen is empty. But when you do see a fish, press the doorbell. Those bulging eyes, gaping mouths, mystery blobs, eels, viewers worldwide are addicted. As one joked, quitting my day job to ring the fish doorbell full time. What's the weirdest thing you've ever seen on that camera that you weren't expecting to see?
Well, one time we saw a person.
A guy jumped in just to wave at the camera. It used to be
Avon calling.
Now it's frisky fish. Ding, 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 dong. Have a winner.
Oh, he's a monster. Let's go! Be free, buddy!
Chinimos, CNN, New York.
Our thanks to CNN. Pretty cool. I have not checked out the fish doorbell, so I have to go now on the internet and look for that as well. It's another classic Mark Thompson time waster, but I'm happy to partake. How about this story? I know, I'm sorry, it's a spider. Nobody wants to see a spider up close, especially me. But it turns out there's a scientific study that shows, apparently, these spiders have a way of having a conversation with each other. I thought this was pretty fascinating. That the things they do aren't, you look at it, it's spider behavior, whatnot. But now they've been able to decode the things they do with the help of machine learning and contact microphones. And that approach to studying these spiders is apparently helping understand their social dynamics, their habitat's health, all kinds of things, right? So they aimed a light beam, a vibrometer, apparently, measuring vibration frequencies and amplitudes. And this all from the University of Nebraska, by the way. And they ended up finding this array of little tiny microphones and setting up this sound processing machine. And then they went to the forest to test out what they could learn. This whole study is published in the Communications Biology journal. And what they found was, we've never seen anything like this. Yes, a never before seen approach to collecting spiders' hard to detect movements across the woodland area. They spent a couple of summers. They put 25 microphones and something called pitfall traps across the forest floor. And then they waited for the spiders to come make their vibration moves that they do. And they managed to collect 39,000 hours of data, 17,000 vibrations, a series of vibrations. Not all wolf spiders. There were some other insects that were caught on the vibration cam, as it were. But they say that sound waves absorbed into the ground as vibrations and had to be sifted out from the spider targets. What they found out was some new insights into spider behavior, an overlap of acoustic frequency, time, and signaling space between certain species. And so they figured out that some spider variants, like wolf spiders, restricted their signaling for when they were on top of leaf litter. Not pine debris, had to be leaf litter. They think that's, I guess, prime real estate for some of these spiders. Or maybe it helps the vibrations spread. I don't know. The spiders, if they chose different signal places, then they would disrupt the whole communication system and not achieve their goal, like attracting mates, apparently. So, interesting study on how spiders communicate, and maybe a little bit more intricate than anyone has ever realized. Let's move to Disneyland, especially so we don't have to look at the spider anymore. Have you ever seen plugs or cords or anything, that you normally would see around places to light things up? You don't. You don't usually even see the outbuildings at Disneyland because they've developed this interesting strategy of using paint to cover up things that are in plain sight. One of the colors they use is called Go Away Green. And you might, if you like were diving into the foliage or whatnot, see cords or outlets, plug outlets, or other things that they don't want you to see, but they camouflage it with paint, and they do it all over the place. And apparently they even paint part of the ground like a light pink color to make the green foliage look greener. They have ways of making things appear just so. Fantastic. The Haunted Mansion apparently has a paint situation as well. They were trying to get it to look old but not decaying. They still wanted it to look like a nice mansion, but they wanted it to look creepy and old. So they painted the underside of the exterior walls this dark color, creating an exaggerated deep cast shadow. And the illusion worked, so they still keep it the same color on purpose. It's fascinating. They've tested all of these paint colors out to make things appear just how they want them to appear. The Go Away Green, though, they say is the most used camouflage color because of all the vegetation around the Disney parks. So if you looked in that flower bed, you would often find external wiring, electrical units, all types of things. They even use that Go Away Green to hide buildings. So some of them, if they were a different color, they would really stand out. So it's interesting the way they create this, I don't know, atmosphere where you see what they want you to see. Let's take a look. Speaking of seeing things, I guess a lot of people got an eyeful after SpaceX sent up a satellite, another rocket with a satellite. But that's what people thought it was, perhaps, on Monday night. A streak of light in the Southern California sky. They said it was an absolute stunner. A lot of people taking pictures of it, putting it on social media. Then people started to think, is it space debris or an asteroid or a UFO? What exactly is it? Well, it turns out it was space debris, as a matter of fact, but maybe not from SpaceX. It turns out that it may have been space debris from China. Yeah, Chinese space debris. Not Starlink satellites. So it was seen a lot over Sand City, Carmel, Salinas, Monterey County at about 1:45 in the morning, technically Monday night, Tuesday morning. And there was an astrophysicist looking into it and said the streaks of light actually appear to be the orbital module of China's Shenzhou 15 spacecraft falling back to Earth. It had transported 3 astronauts to the Tiangong space station. The 33,000-pound orbital, it's a 3,300-pound orbital module used to give the spacegoers extra room to do their science experiment. So that module wasn't designed to return to Earth with the Shenzhou re-entry, and it stayed in orbit until it re-entered overnight. But what a light show it gave everybody in parts of Central and Southern California. Again, lots of pictures taken of that. Kind of cool. I'm sorry I missed it. It's kind of a sad story. You know, the things we need in quotes, like our cell phones and our iPads and our laptops and all these things that we have that help us live in a modern way. Well, it might not really be helping out wildlife. Yeah. These rare elements we need to make all the things that we need to have, copper, lithium, nickel, cobalt, that support our gadgets, also electric vehicles, telescope lenses, computer screens, are stored deep in the earth. And so mining them is damaging the environment. And the demand for these rare earth elements in places like Africa is also leading to the destruction of tropical rainforests. These areas home to more than half of the world's cobalt and copper. And what happens when you disrupt the tropical rainforests in Africa? You disrupt the habitats of the great ape population, more threatened from mining than scientists originally believed. There's a study published in the journal Science Advances estimating that nearly 180,000 gorillas, bonobos, and chimpanzees are at risk because of the mining in Africa to satisfy the demand from more industrialized countries. We're trying to have this green revolution, right? But in order to have our green revolution, we end up doing damage to places that we should be protecting because we're trying to get all this stuff out of the ground. So there's a study done by this primatologist with the International Union for Conservation of Nature. And they say, unfortunately, the location of the minerals overlap often with the ape habitat, but people are not aware of the impact that what we are consuming has on the patterns of the apes. So they did this study to bring awareness to the issue because they're seeing a big problem. So they had an international team of scientists, and they looked at operational and pre-operational mining sites in 17 African countries. And they gave it a 6.2 mile wide buffer zone to account for the direct impacts of the mining. And that included habitat destruction, light and noise pollution. And then they gave a 31-mile buffer zone for the more indirect impacts linked to increased human activity near the mining sites, new roads that had to be built to do the mining, new infrastructure in areas that used to be remote, and more human presence there as well. More human presence puts more pressure on the animals, right? And they found there was a habitat loss and a higher risk, apparently, of disease transmission as well. But the data they collected allowed them to pinpoint how many African great apes could be negatively impacted by mining activities. And they found that more than 1/3 of the great ape population, or 180,000 animals, is in danger. The West African countries of Liberia, Sierra Leone, Mali, and Guinea had the largest overlaps of high ape density in mining areas. The most significant overlap in mining and chimpanzee density found in Guinea, where more than 23,000 chimpanzees, 80% of the population there, were either directly or indirectly impacted by mining activities. The most sensitive areas also are generally not those that are the most protected, right? I think it's important that we know it. We're going to have to stop that or find a different way. Because we want these creatures to live in the wild, and we can't go and wreck their habitat. It's just not going to work. It's sad. From sad to happy, at least for one person. There's this lady who it was her birthday. So she went to play the lottery. This is a great story because I'm going to go play the lottery today. This North Carolina woman said it was the perfect early birthday present. She turned 60 and she went to play the Lucky for Life drawing. I've never played that. I don't even know if we have that in California. But she won $25,000 a year for the rest of her life. Her name's Irma. She bought a $2 quick pick for Thursday's Lucky for Life drawing online. She ended up matching all 5 white balls in the drawing, getting her this $25,000 a year every year for the rest of her life. They said her reaction to seeing the results online caused her husband to become concerned. I think he thought I saw something crawling on the ground because she's freaking out. He's like, "What is wrong with you?" She's like, "I just won." It came very close to her 60th birthday. She called it a nice early birthday present that will come in very useful in the future. She said she's only a few years away from retirement, so it'll be really, really nice to have. Of course it will be. Lucky for Life, huh? That's not the first Lucky for Life story I've seen. Well, from a beautiful story to, how about this shoe? Would you wear it? I don't know. It's not super attractive, you could say. This strange looking shoe was made from genetically engineered bacteria. We're trying to transition towards sustainable clothing, right? They say this is something important if we're going to really fight climate change. So researchers are looking to bacteria to inspire fashion. This is a study from the the journal Nature Biotechnology. This team at Imperial College in London created these genetically engineered new microbial strains capable of being woven into wearable material, while simultaneously self-dyeing themselves in the process. So they have this new vegan plastic-free leather that apparently is suitable for items like wallets and shoes. It's not the most fashionable looking thing. But they say, listen, as much as 200 million liters of water is consumed across the global textile industry every year. 85% of all used clothing in the United States winds up in a landfill. Meanwhile, the particulates shed from washing polyester and polymer-based fabrics make up 20 to 35% of the ocean's microplastics. There's pesticides used in industrial cotton farming and animal leather production, right? So, from an ecological standpoint, this would make sense, even though it's not cute. Maybe they can work on the style of it a little bit. Sustainable microbial-based textile alternatives apparently are showing promise when it comes to greener manufacturing, especially using bacterial cellulose, which is inherently vegan and requires a tiny fraction of the carbon emissions, water, land use, and time of farming cows for leather. The Imperial College researchers say, unlike plastic-based leather alternatives, bacterial cellulose can also be made without petrochemicals and will biodegrade safely and non-toxically in the environment. So you don't have to feel bad about throwing away those ugly shoes after you're done with them. They say synthetically dyeing products like vegan leather is some of the most toxic stages within the fashion industry. So by doing this, creating these environmentally friendly wearables, they're trying to make the world better. So I guess we better get on board with the ugly shoes, maybe. I don't know. When they made this, they allowed the cellulose to self-produce this pigment, this black pigment you see there. It's called eumelanin. Eumelanin. And over a 2-week period, they allowed the material to grow over a shoe-like shape. And once it was finished, it was loaded into a machine that shook it for about 48 hours, and it stimulated the bacteria to start darkening from the inside out. Finally, it was attached to a pre-made sole to become this shoe-shaped vessel, they're calling it. I don't know. They also made a wallet, which looks much nicer. But it stands to cut down on water consumption even further. And they're going to try for additional colors and materials and patterns. So, all right, I'm going to the chat. Are you going to wear this? What do you think? No? Maybe not? Yeah. Just stop washing your feet until a shoe forms around them. I'm really hoping not. I don't think they can self-repair, but maybe. I don't know. Dillette says, notice nobody is actually wearing it. Doug's thinking it looks comfy. I mean, it is foot-shaped, right? Maybe if they made it like to the mold of your own foot, even if it was ugly, but it was super comfortable, you'd be more receptive to putting that on your foot. Lori says cellulose can be broken down by an enzyme called cellulase. Cool. Interesting. Mama says it looks like the spray-on shoes from the Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. Heather says, in this post-Roe world, we could use more choices in birth control. That's true. You're not wearing the spike heels. Nobody's looking at you in those shoes. Miss Organic says if it's vegan, I'd try it. It is. And it's much better for the world. I think they need to do some work on it, develop something cuter. That's true. Mama, by the way, I hope your little one is better. I read yesterday about the fever, so I hope everything's okay and that everyone's on the mend at your house. Let's talk about. We'll move from the strange looking shoe. Actually, you know what? I guess that's the end of the show, you guys, because it's just about 2:00, and I don't want to keep you all afternoon, but I do want to thank you for being here. Thank you for looking at that awful shoe with me. I'll take it away. There you go. Thanks for hanging out. I hope you enjoyed the Nikki Maduro show today. We'll talk a little bit more about the changes coming up on that show tomorrow. Mark Thompson show, great guests coming up tomorrow, including a filmmaker that's written a book of short stories. We'll talk to David Katz, which is always really fun. Anthony Davis will be on the Mark Thompson show tomorrow as well. So please join us at 11 o'clock for that. And then back here for more interesting and fun stories on the After Party Live. And again, thanks for supporting this show and thank you for being here. Until tomorrow, have a really good afternoon. Make it a great day. And here it is.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you.